morning. Welcome back to Woven Kids Sunday service. Hope you guys are doing well. Are you okay? Yeah? Excellent.
Hope so.
I really hope you guys are well.
Well, welcome back to another week. We're continuing our All Through History series. Last week we learnt about King Solomon, and this week we're learning about a man named Daniel.
Oh, yes. Now it's the next one in our timeline. And Daniel, some of you may know the story, Daniel and the Lion's Den. But we're going to be looking at something a little bit different today. And we're going to look at how Daniel was different to the people around him and how he stayed faithful to God. Now, I'm going to ask you a little question. And the question is, what do you think makes someone who's a Christian to someone who follows God different to people who don't?
Good question.
This is a thinker. This one's a bit hard. To talk to someone next to you, what makes a Christian different to somebody who isn't? Have a chat with the people next to you. I wonder what answers you came up with. Now, there are lots of different ways that Christians look different to other people who aren't Christians. So in the way that we live our lives. So we're called to pray, to talk to God. We're called to read our Bibles. We are called to be kind to others. And that's not to say that people who aren't Christians aren't kind. But we're doing this with a different kind of kindness. We're asking of God's strength because it's so hard. Even if someone is really horrible to us, we're called to love them and forgive them. Now, a lot of people in the world want power. They want to be strong. They want lots of money. But actually, we're called to put God before any of that. And we're called to put other people before any of that kind of stuff. And Daniel, he did things differently in his story. So we're going to do some action worship first of all before we have our story. So guys, why don't you jump up, give a wiggle, shake one leg, shake a leg, shake your other leg, shake your arm, shake your other arm. Amazing. And now we're going to do some singing and some dancing.
You are here with me. Jesus, you are all I need. I will follow where you lead me. I will worship you. So I'll clap my hands and wave them in the air. Shout your name so everyone can hear. Jump as high as I can reach. Dance around to show that I'm so glad that you love me. You love me. Jesus, you are here with me. Jesus, you are all I need. I will follow where you lead me. I will worship you, yeah. So I'll clap my hands and wave them in the air. Shout your name so everyone can hear. Jump as high as I can reach. And dance around to show that I'm so glad that you love me. Yeah, I'm so glad you love me. Jesus, I'm so glad you love me. Jesus, I'm so glad you love me. Yeah. So I'll clap my hands and wave them in the air. Shout your name so everyone can hear. Jump as high as I can reach. Dance around to show that I'm so glad. So I'll clap my hands and wave them in the air. Shout your name so everyone can hear. Jump as high as I can reach. And dance around to show that I'm so glad that you love me. And I'll dance around to show that I'm so glad that you love me. Yes, I'll dance around to show
Brilliant action worship, everybody. We are now going to watch a video about the story of Daniel's life. So get comfy, find that little spot on the sofa or on your bed, wherever you are, and listen very carefully to this story because we have some questions for you afterwards. So here we go.
God's story, Daniel. So part of God's story is about a guy named Daniel, and it goes like this. Daniel was a Jew, which means he was part of God's special family. But when he was a young man, a king called Nebuchadnezzar, let's call him Nezer, came in from the city of Babylon and took over. He chose the smartest, strongest, most handsome Jewish men to leave their home and come work for him in his palace. One of those young men was Daniel. Even though most people in Babylon didn't follow God, Daniel and his friends did. So they had to figure out how to obey God and serve the king. For starters, they had to go through a training program where they were fed royal food. The problem was, King Nezer had also offered that food to idols or false gods. And since they followed God, they wanted nothing to do with idols. So, Daniel had an idea. He asked the chief of the king's staff if he and his friends could eat vegetables and water for 10 days instead. If they got too weak or skinny, they'd eat something else. Well, guess what? God made them even stronger than the men who ate royal food. God gave Daniel extra understanding, too. In fact, a few years later, the king had a nightmare. Nobody knew what it meant. Daniel told King Nezer that he would ask God to show him. God did. After that, King Nezer adored Daniel. He even said God was pretty great, which was a big deal, because the king didn't even think about God before that. But soon, he made it hard for Daniel to follow God again. That's because the king built a huge gold statue of himself, 90 feet tall. Anybody who didn't bow down to it would be thrown into a furnace. This time, Daniel's friends were the ones in trouble. Their names were Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They told the king, "The God whom we serve is able to save us. But even if he doesn't, we will never worship the gold statue you've set up." So they got sent into the fire. Well, pretty soon the king looked into the furnace and noticed that there were 4 men, and they were walking around. An angel of the Lord was protecting Daniel's friends. They got out alive and didn't even smell like smoke. God didn't stop them from getting punished, but he did go through it with them. The king had never seen a God who would rescue like that. Afterwards, King Nezer didn't mind if Daniel and his friends worshipped God, but the king still worshipped idols too. So God sent him another dream, and Daniel told him what it meant. King Nezer would live in a field and eat grass like a cow for 7 years. In other words, he'd go crazy until he realized that God is the only one we should worship. Kids, God doesn't want everybody to worship whoever they want. He wants everybody to worship him. Anyway, Daniel kept working for other kings of Babylon, even after King Nezer. God continued to help him understand dreams and visions. And even though he had to give a lot of bad news, Daniel did excellent work, and he was really well liked by the kings. In fact, one king named Darius liked Daniel so much that others got jealous. They tried to get Daniel in trouble. But they knew the only way to do that was to make a law against God. They suggested that everybody pray only to King Darius. That made the king feel important, so he made it a law. Anybody who disobeyed would spend the night in a den of lions. Daniel kept right on praying, though, and when King Darius found out, he was sad. He didn't want to punish Daniel, but now it was the law. He said, "May your God whom you serve faithfully rescue you." And guess what? God did! He sent an angel to shut the lions' mouths. Daniel served 4 important kings, and he followed God. But whenever it came down to obeying God or the king, Daniel chose God every time, no matter what. And even though Daniel had to do some really hard things, God was always with him. And that's the story of Daniel. So in case you missed it, here's the quick version. Daniel was taken to Babylon. He asked for vegetables. God made him strong. God gave Daniel understanding. Daniel's friends obeyed God instead of the king. They got punished. God rescued them. Daniel understood more dreams. He was the king's favorite. Others got jealous. Daniel obeyed God instead of the king. He got punished. God rescued him. Daniel served God no matter what. And that's a part of God's story.
Great, I wonder how you found the video. Now, how well were you listening? We've got some questions for you. So, question number 1 is, what did Daniel do differently to the others? So, what stood him out as someone who followed God, but not King Nebuchadnezzar? Great, I wonder what answers you came up with. Some of them are, he ate different foods, didn't he? He prayed, and he worshipped God. He refused to worship any other gods. They're just a few things that he did differently. Question number 2. Now, this one requires some remembering of a special word beginning with a f. So the question is, what did Daniel have in God? So Daniel believed that God would put him through. So do you remember when he went into the lion's den? He knew that God would protect him. When his friends went into the fire, God protected them. And he had something that's a special word beginning with a f. I wonder if you know what that word is. Have a think. Right, I wonder what word you came up with. The word that I was thinking of is faith. Daniel had faith in God that he would pull him through, and he kept worshipping him and he kept following him, even if it meant that he wasn't very popular and he wasn't following some of the rules that he was told, but he knew that God's rules were the right ones to follow. We spoke a while back about obedience, and that's what Daniel was. He was obedient to God. Now, question number 3 is all about you. You guys at home, what do you think you could do that looks a little bit different to other people that you know God would want you to do? So how can we live differently for God? That's quite a tricky one. Maybe at home, how can we live like God would want us to live? Have a think and a chat. Well, there's lots and lots of answers for that one. Some of the answers I've come up with is being extra kind, even if people aren't kind to me. It is praying regularly, talking to God regularly. It's reading my Bible. It's saying no to some things that actually probably aren't very good for me. So I know that if I watch too much TV, I can feel really lazy and really not the best person I can be. And I know that God would want me to focus on Him and do more on Him. So for me, that's one of the things that I need to focus on. And actually, over this period of Lent, some people give up things, and that's something that God asked us to do. Fasting, giving up things. So I wonder what things you came up with.
Amazing. It's always good to think about the stories that we listen to and to ask questions afterwards. So thank you, Nicole. We are going to head into our memory verse now, and our memory verse for this week comes from Proverbs chapter 3, verse 6. Now, Daniel remembered God in everything he did. Everything that he did in his life was focused on God. And so this memory verse says, "Remember the Lord in everything you do, and he will give you success." Proverbs 3, verse 6. So Nicole's going to show us the actions to help us remember. So are we ready? Remember the Lord in all that you do, and he will give you success. Proverbs 3, verse 6. Okay, are we going to do it really quickly this time? Okay, ready? Remember the Lord in everything you do, and he will give you success. Proverbs 3, verse 6. Good job. Brilliant. So try and remember that memory verse this week as you go about your everyday. It's time for our next action worship song now, so make sure you're on your feet, you've got some space around you, and we're going to dance along.
Okay, guys, now it's time for our game. Now, this one, you're going to be watching us do it, and I really want you guys to do it at home once you finished your video. And as you can see, Emma is blindfolded. Now, in the story, Daniel had faith throughout his life. He trusted God. And now Emma is going to have some faith in me, because she's going to walk forwards and not bump into the chairs. So we're going to ask her to move, and I'm going to direct her with my words so she can get through safely. Now, I wonder if you can do it at home. You can make a bit more of a better obstacle course, but you can blindfold each other and safely guide your siblings or whoever you live with through a little obstacle course. Now, do you think we can get Emma through safely? Yeah, I think we can. Right. Emma, are you ready? Can you see anything? No, she can't see a thing. Right. I would like you to move forwards, please. And a little bit to your right. Just very slightly. There we go. Okay, and move forwards. 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 Stop. Okay, she's right on the edge of the stage. Now do a little jump down. Jump down. A little jump. And then move forwards a little bit. A little bit. And stop. Take your blindfold off. Woohoo! She made it in one piece. Guys, please can you film your obstacle courses? Particularly if the adult you live with is doing it too. That will be so funny. Here's looking at you, Rich Atkinson. I want to see you do an obstacle course blindfolded. Amazing, guys. We'll have lots of fun doing that. Emma, how did you feel doing that?
That was slightly terrifying. But it was a lot of fun, and I did have trust in Nicole.
Phew. Well, thankfully, God is way more trustworthy than me, and we can put all of our faith in him. And actually, if we're going through something and it can be really scary, if we just keep trusting that he's going to guide us in the right direction, let's keep talking to him and keep listening to him. Emma couldn't have done that without listening. So if we keep praying and listening to God, he will guide us in the right direction.
Wonderful. Is it time to pray?
It is time to pray, along with your craft. So get your craft packs out and we'll show you what we're going to do. Okay, so you've got your craft packs out, and in your craft pack you will have a lovely knife, fork and a plate, and it looks so much better than the one that I've got here. This is drawn very quickly. But on that, it's laminated, which means if you get a felt tip pen, you can write on it and you can rub it off and you can use it again. And it also means that you can put your food underneath it and wipe it off. So you can use it as a placemat. So this is our craft and our prayer activity. So what I want you to do is get it out and get a felt tip pen. And I want you to draw or write all the things, or it could be one thing, that you are struggling to trust God with right now. Something that may seem really, really big. Maybe it's the fact that you may not have seen some people that you love for a long time. Maybe you're feeling a little bit sad about something. I want you to draw that on your special plate and give that to God. And because you have that, you can use it again and again and again. And if you have any special decorating things at home, maybe you've got some glue and you can stick some bits on there and you can make it look really pretty. And then you can put your food on it when you have dinner, and you can remember how Daniel ate differently, and it was very different because he trusted in God. And I wonder what ways that you're going to look different now that you trust in God. So have fun praying, guys, and doing your crafts, and enjoy. And we've come to the end of our session. Really, really sad, but we're going to be back again next week. So guys, we hope you've enjoyed yourselves. Hope you spotted our little man in his black car. Have you spotted him? Can you just email us in and let us know? But I think he was in the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. Can you see him? Have any of you given him a name? Me and Emma tried to think of a name, but we haven't got one. Can you email us in and let us know what name you've come up with for him? And we'll pick the best one. That'd be really useful. Now Emma's going to finish on a prayer for us, and then we're going to say goodbye.
Dear God, thank you so much for Daniel's life. Thank you that we can learn from him and that we can be different for you, God. Teach us throughout the week how to be different and how to love you and serve you well. In Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. We'll see you next week, guys. Bye.
Bye.